Morning. This morning we're going to talk about struggles. We all have them. It's part of life. Let me put my earbuds in so the wind's not so bad. I'm going to get going with this thing. So, with struggles, we encounter them every day. Some days the struggles are not that hard to deal with. Some days they're everyday struggles. Getting out of bed. Some days are struggles, and some days they're big struggles. When we join the military, we learn new struggles. We learn, being out in the cold. With no sufficient heat, being in the rain, being in all kind of conditions, training, because that, as the military, is what we need to do, because we train as we fight. So, being exposed to struggles that made us think, fix problems, stuff like that, made us a better person, made us more resilient. Resiliency is the virtue that helps people move through struggles and become better for it. A lot of people whenever you talk about being resilient, they want to say you bounce back. You never bounce back. I talked about this before. Resilient is having the resilience to return to the shape that it once was, like a rubber ball. Rubber ball bounces against the wall, and every time it comes back, it's still round because it retains that shape. When you go through struggles, you cannot bounce back. You are not the same person. The people around you are not the same, and you have changed, whether it's good for the bad or good, in the struggle that you had just gone through. So you can't bounce back. You can't go back to the same person that you were. If you want to be successful, you have to be resilient. If you want to be happy, you have to be resilient. You need to be resilient in order to be happy. It can't come without struggles. So, being happy, being successful can't come without struggles. You will go through struggles. If you don't allow yourself to go through those struggles, you will never be successful and you will never be happy, because of the fact is that you have not gone through the hard work, the hard times that you need to in order to be happy and be successful. Some people have the philosophy of, I'm good where I'm at, I don't need anything else. And that's fine. If that's your philosophy of life, if you are good at basket weaving and, it's one of those things that you're good at. And if you're happy with that, then that's it, And so it is with that, that you have to have those struggles, to move through pain to wisdom, through fear to courage, through suffering to strength requires resiliency, and, you have to move through that pain, and you have to, move through the fear to courage through suffering. I know I have a viewer who, lost his wife, and, I know that you are struggling right now, but I know that you are a strong person and that you will get through this, because you need to do it for your child. And while we go through struggles, is different for all of us. In combat, we go through struggles and we go through the hard times for each other. We don't go through it for ourselves. We go through it for each other. But when you come out of that situation and you're in real life, it is for you. You know, the struggles that you choose to go through is for you. If I could bottle up the benefits of struggling, people would pay a lot of money for that. In other words, like a bottle of hot sauce. You know, if I could bottle it up like a bottle of hot sauce, and people would pay money for it. But the only way, and I've said this a lot of times, being resilient, is to go through it. You cannot get it in a bottle. Nobody can give you that benefit of those struggles. You can't glean from somebody else's struggles. You only can glean from your own struggles. If you want wisdom, you have to go through the struggle. That is the price. You bear the struggle. You know, nobody else can bear your struggles. Whenever we are going through a difficult time, there's no one else that can really bear your struggle. Now, there are people who will come alongside and help you, but they cannot take off that weight. They may loosen it a little bit, and I'll get to something later on that, it's actually right here. When we see our struggle in the stories of those who have gone on before us, we feel less alone. And that's why I share my story of recovery from mental health and healing from it, because I want to give people hope that you don't have to suffer from mental health and anxiety, but you can recover and heal from it and become stronger for it. I'm a stronger person today than I was last year because of what I go through in my struggles. You know, I don't let the struggles define me as a person. I don't let my mental health define me as a person. You know, and seeing that in other stories, you realize that those people have gone through like struggles with you. And that's why working with veterans is why I work with veterans, because of the fact that those stories are in their stories. And they can see that, hey, he served, he went to combat, he struggles with mental health, he is getting through it. I can get through it. With resiliency, we are not in the search of success, but a way of life. It is a way of life, you know. And struggles are a way of life. You know, are there days that we don't have struggles? Yes, of course there is. But there are days, weeks, sometimes months that we have struggles, depending on what it is. Does anyone like to struggle with anything? Of course not. Most of our life, we avoid struggling with things. We want to try to find a better way to get through that struggle. But as I said, the only way to get through it is to go through it. It will take a lot to get through whatever struggles. So you need to be kind to yourself. This is where I talk about mental health, self-care. You know, when you do go through a struggle, make sure that you take care of yourself when you get through that struggle. Don't try to jump right back into another struggle thinking you're fine. Rebuild yourself. Reward yourself. You know, take yourself out for an ice cream sundae. You know, Seneca, a Roman philosopher, wrote down his thoughts to his friend Lucilius. The problem was a lot of that, was obvious. You know, so what he wrote to his friend was, I don't want to say common sense, but everyday language. You know, something that we go through, you know, and it's like, why are you writing these thoughts down? So Seneca had a great response. What good does it do to point out the obvious? A great deal of good, for sometimes we know the facts without paying attention to them. Advice merely engages the attention and rouses us and concentrates the memory and keeps it from losing its grip. We miss so much set before our eyes, and a lot of times we have to be reminded of what's right in front of us, and how we are equipped to deal with struggles. People have been dealing with struggles since the dawn of time, going back to the Egyptians, going back to the cavemen, coming up through Alexander the Great, and so on, and it's all the same thing of struggles. They're right in front of you. You can see them. You just need to pay attention to them. It's hard. How do you get through it? So the topic of the video today was the good. Can you be better or worse from struggling? The reason I put that on there is some people glean and flourish in struggles. It's just the way their mentality is. Other people, however, get beat down by the struggles. They allow themselves to become the victim. They don't want to fight for the benefits of going through the struggle and learning from them and becoming more resilient from that struggle. They simply want to just not do anything. They want the struggle to rush over them and drown them, and then they hope that they'll come out on the other side and they'll be okay. They'll come out on the other side. Whether or not they're okay or not, that's a totally different thing, We are surrounded by oxygen every day, but we rarely notice it until we desperately need it. I used to run a lot. I love to run, but since knee surgery, back surgery, I can't run anymore. But there's a concept in running where you reach oxygen deprivation, and that's where your body's not creating enough oxygen for you to breathe because you put yourself in a deficit, and I was in that deficit a lot of times. And it will make you appreciate how much you need that oxygen. That is what keeps you alive. That is what makes you able to do everything that you're doing. But we rarely think about that. We rarely think about around us. It's all around us every day. We're breathing it in. I'm breathing it in right now. But we rarely think about it. And that's the way it is with a lot of things that are in front of us. We don't see them, but they're there, and that's why Seneca said, I write these thoughts because I want people to see what is right in front of them, and that is why there are so many self-help books out there that are bestsellers, even though those self-help books don't tell you anything different than you already knew. You simply needed to hear it in a different language, in a different format to get fed, and that is why, the struggles will make you stronger. No, I don't want to go through the struggles, but I know that I will be a miserable person if I don't go through those struggles. I know that if I don't meet those things head on and walk the shit out of them and kick their ass, then they're going to come back and get me. And I'm not going to let that happen. I don't do it for ego or pride or anything. I do it to be me. Anytime that you're in a struggle with something, you're not yourself, because there's too many outside forces coming in. But when you push those struggles push through those struggles, and you keep going, and you keep doing what you got to do, you'll be a better person. You know, and it's you know, and people write all the time about it. You know, I probably have written about it. I probably have talked about it. You know, but like I said, the biggest thing is you take your struggles, you push through them, you become more resilient. It becomes part of your story. You share that story with somebody else, and that gives them hope. And probably one of my platforms is my story. You know, sharing my story. I like to tell people about my story, not for glory or whatever, but to say, hey, look, I did this. You can do this, you know, and that's all it is. You know, it has nothing to do with me. You know, and when your story helps somebody else write their story, and then somebody else writes their story, you know, we start kicking that stigma of mental health down. You know, we start kicking that those myths of mental health out. You know, and you know, with the things that I did the last 8 years of my career when I was in mental health treatment, a lot of people would have never guessed that I was suffering from depression, anxiety, and PTSD. Why? Because I didn't show it. I didn't let them see that war. I fought that war wherever I had to fight it, ever how I had to fight it. Because the mission of taking care of my soldier was more important than whatever was going on in my life, you know. And I don't expect people to understand sometimes, and that's okay. And then lastly, you know, hey, if you're out there and you need help with something and you want to talk on the side, send me a message and we'll talk. You know, I do peer support. It's one of my platforms, and I love helping veterans with issues and stuff. And so send me a message and we'll talk. You know, because I want to help people. You know, I want to help veterans. I want them to know that it's okay to reach out for help. It's okay to say, I need help, you know. And that's something as a veteran, it's hard to do because of the fact that, you know, we're taught to be self-sustainable. You know, we're taught to get through shit when we're doing everything else. And so that's about it for today. Still trying to get over this head cold or whatever, but you know, weather's changing, so hopefully my body will get used to it and I'll change with it and I'll get rid of it. But anyway, like I said, this weekend I'm out at Valor Ranch helping them with the aquaponics garden. If you want more information about that, go to valorranch.org and sign up for that event. Come out and help us with that event. So we'll be able to get our aquaponics garden up out there so we can feed the homeless of Parker County, homeless veterans in Parker County. And you know, it's a wonderful thing to be able to watch you hand fresh produce to a homeless veteran, knowing that you are helping them. So y'all take care, and y'all have a good day. Bye.